One of the beauties of film photography is that no matter the price point, whether it's $1,000 or $10, all these cameras are just a dark place to put your film. Welcome back to Overexposed, where I like making videos so much, sometimes I make the same videos twice. While there are loads of flashy, expensive cameras out there, the Leica M6, the Hasselblad 500cm, or the Mamiya 7, we're lucky to be living in a world where now we have a bevy of 35mm point-and-shoot, plastic, fantastic cameras all over the market. It's refreshing to see that there are so many styles and choices of these pocketable cameras out there available for photographers to get their hands on. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my experiences with the Reto Ultra Wide and Slim camera. Reto announced this camera in January of 2021. If you'll remember, I made a video a few months ago calling on camera manufacturers to manufacture some new film cameras. Film photography is on the way back, and we need new camera options. Unfortunately, if you're looking for a newly designed camera, the Reto Ultra Wide and Slim is probably going to disappoint you, but more on that later. But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy my time with the Reto camera. Like I mentioned previously, Reto announced the Ultra Wide and Slim camera would be added to their lineup in January of 2021. This would be the second film camera in Reto's lineup, following the Nishika-inspired 3D weird kinda camera situation. And at the time that this camera was announced, I was going through a cheap plastic 35mm phase. See my video about my Lomography point and shoot. About the same time Reto announced the Ultra Wide and Slim would be added to their lineup, Lomochrome actually announced a change in their Lomochrome Metropolis film. They announced that they would be changing the formulation slightly, and not being naive enough to make another Lomochrome Metropolis video after the last one was watched by about 12 people. I thought I would test out the new formulation of Lomochrome Metropolis in my new Reto Ultra Wide and Slim camera. So let's take a look and see how they done. I loaded the new Lomochrome Metropolis into the Reto Ultra Wide and Slim camera and took it to Middlesboro. Not that Middlesboro. Middlesboro, Kentucky. At one point being touted as the Pittsburgh of the South, I don't really think that came to fruition, but most notably for being the only town that I'm aware of nestled perfectly inside a crater. I spent a few seconds familiarizing myself with the camera and its complex controls, and I got to work. I'm going to show some footage and some images as I talk here. But a few things about the Reto Ultra Wide and Slim camera. The camera weighs just 68 grams, basically nothing. It's such a diminutive weight, you're not even going to notice it if you put it in your camera bag, and the small size, about as thick as a quarter and about the size of a business card, it's not ever really going to get in the way. When Reto announced the camera, they announced it in 5 different colors: charcoal, cream, pastel pink, muddy yellow, and murky blue. I went with the muddy yellow. So let's talk a little bit about the lens setup on this Ultra Wide and Slim camera. Well, first of all, it's called Ultra Wide and Slim. It's a 22mm lens, which I don't think by any definition is much of an ultra wide lens, but anyway, that's their marketing. It is a 22mm focal length lens, so it is moderately wide angle. The lens is a 2-element plastic lens design, so there's no glass in the optics. That's not to say that the images are bad though. You'll see from the images that I've posted, these are perfectly decent, acceptable images. The shutter speed in the camera is locked at a 1/125th of a second, and the aperture of the lens is permanently set to an f11. The camera is designed to take ISO 100 speed film, so just bear that in mind. If you're putting 200, 400, 800 speed film in the camera, you're going to get some overexposed shots. And just a slight warning, if you are putting 100 speed film into the camera, you can't change the aperture. So if it starts to get darker, you start to lose light, you're locked into that 100 speed film and your images are going to be perhaps underexposed. Always important to be really mindful of your shooting conditions when you're using these little point and shoot cameras, because with these cameras you have no ability to adapt to your external environment should things change. I alluded to the fact at the beginning of this video that this wasn't exactly a new camera design. Yes, that's true. This is a Vivitar copy. A few decades ago, Vivitar released their very own Vivitar Ultra Wide and Slim camera. And if you take a look at a few pictures of that camera, it looks suspiciously similar to the new Reto Ultra Wide and Slim. And you take a look at the specs of the camera, 1/25th of a second, f11, 22mm lens. Everything was identical. A little bit about Vivitar as a company. Vivitar is a company in the United States primarily known for their manufacture of camera photography accessories. They made SLRs a few decades ago, but these were really just rebranded SLRs from other companies. And then Vivitar just slapped their branding on. With all that in mind, it should come as no surprise that the Vivitar Ultra Wide and Slim wasn't made by Vivitar either. The Vivitar Ultra Wide and Slim was made by a Hong Kong operation called Sun Pet Industries. And this isn't a terribly uncommon arrangement. I think you look at a few of those Kodak Kodak M35, a lot of these recently released point-and-shoot cameras, and they're probably operating under a similar model. One company in China, Hong Kong, somewhere, is making these cameras, and then all these companies are just sticking their branding on them. A nice cash grab. They're probably buying the cameras. They're all plastic, everything. There's nothing in them of real value. They're probably making the cameras really cheap. Kodak, double film, Lomography are marking up the price a little bit and making a nice return. So I think it stands to reason that these cameras are not coming from Reto in any real sense. They're probably coming from the same Sunpet corporation in Hong Kong that made the Vivitar ultra-wide and slim a few decades ago. You know, getting back to what we were saying about Nikon and the M35 and the double film show and all those different 35mm camera clones, I think this is no different. You can look on the market. If you type in ultra-wide and slim, there are a couple of other companies making these, not just Reto, and I'm going to go through a list of them. The Jelly Lens ultra-wide and slim, the Turtle ultra-wide and slim, Popeye camera, and the Rainbow 5. There's also a version called the Superheads with this super fat lens, and the Eximus wide and slim. All those cameras look almost identical to this, just slightly different color schemes and aesthetics. I'm not passing judgment on any of these companies. They're in the game to make money, but just be aware, Reto isn't really doing that much here to manufacture their own camera. These are camera designs that have existed for a really long time, and these modern companies have found a way to kind of convert that into a cash grab. I don't want that to sour the video though. My experiences shooting the Reto ultra wide and slim were very positive. I think the image quality that comes out of this camera is very, very good. And with these point-and-shoot style cameras, the shooting experience is so simple, it really can't be beat. Especially if you're just learning photography or you just want a less serious camera option to take with you. I mean, I own some pretty serious cameras. I have a Rolleiflex. I have a Mamiya 645, a Leica M6. Sometimes I don't want that serious shooting experience. Sometimes I don't want to meter the exposure, input the settings, put it on a tripod, get the shutter release. It's really cool to just have a quick and easy camera with you for some of those off-the-cuff moments. All in all, in Middlesboro, Kentucky, I had a really good time shooting this camera, and I think I got some pretty good results. The camera was really enjoyable to use and did exactly what it needed to do. So, all in all, really liked shooting the camera. Anytime I do a review of a camera or a piece of gear, I always try to answer the question, who is this for? And I think with the Reto ultra-wide and slim camera, it's really for two people. And I'm thinking of the Instax shooter, right? The Fuji Instax shooter. For those folks that want that film photography aesthetic, those retro, vintage kind of styled images, this camera is perfect. It's not going to get in your way. This camera is more than capable of giving you that look. And with the fact that you're using those plastic lenses, the image quality is not going to be out of this world amazing, so it's probably going to enhance that vintage kind of nostalgic vibe that you're looking for. The price point is great too. These cameras can pretty easily be found for less than $30. So if you're just getting into film photography or you want a more casual shooting experience, I feel like this is a perfect camera for you. That doesn't mean that more professional, more serious users can't also enjoy this camera. I think it makes a great camera to just have with you, right? Slide it into your briefcase, slide it into a pocket in your backpack on a day that you might not want to take out your big chunky Mamiya 645. All in all, these cameras are a lot of fun and they serve a lot of different uses. But if you thought this video was cool, I made another video a few months ago about the Lomography simple use camera. And before you go, take a second to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.